You're watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
Welcome back. Here's a look at some of the headlines of the past week. Lubbock ISD's Chief Financial Officer Jeff Baum has resigned effective next June. Baum was put on paid administrative leave in September, and until June, he'll be reassigned to work on special projects. District leaders gave no explanation for the move other than to say it has nothing to do with his financial duties in the district. Lubbock City Council also making it official this week and approved the choice for the city's new police chief. Floyd Mitchell will officially start November 11th. Says he's excited to help the department grow as it transitions to police substations and more of a community policing plan.
Decentralizing, going to 3 substations, building a new headquarters, building a new property and evidence section. This police department has a huge growth path, and that really attracted me to the position. We are part of the community. We're not separate from it, and I think it's just important for everyone within the community and within the police department to know that community policing is who we are. Just know that I am very approachable. I like getting out. I like talking to people. I like being police chief.
You take the reins of a great...
Mitchell comes to us from Temple, where he served as the chief there. He has more than 29 years of experience in law enforcement. Well, Republican lawmakers storming closed hearing rooms in the impeachment inquiry might sound like chaos, but the truth is it's remarkably predictable. Most House Republicans are accusing Democrats of inventing reasons to attack the president and then hiding the process, and most Democrats just seem ready to vote for impeachment. KMAC's Anna Warnicki found out at least one Texas lawmaker says he's keeping an open mind.
For 3 weeks, there's one word that's taken over the halls of the Capitol.
Impeachment. Impeachment inquiry.
Impeachment.
Some Democrats, like Texas Congressman Lloyd Doggett, are for it. Doggett says he made his decision after taking a look at the leaked phone call between President Trump asking the Ukrainian president to investigate Joe Biden and his son.
Directly from President Trump's mouth, we have the evidence to impeach him.
But others, like Texas Republican Kevin Brady, disagree.
Impeachment makes a toxic environment even more toxic.
The push to remove President Trump from office is primarily split right down party lines. But one Texan is undecided.
There are already some people that said impeach him. And there are some people who are saying don't impeach him.
Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar says he wants to take a look at all the facts first.
There has to be a review of the facts, of the evidence, of the testimony before anybody can make a decision.
But in order to review the facts, you have to have the facts. And Texas Republican Congressman Will Hurd says Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee are keeping Republicans out of that process.
It's unfortunate that the process is being done this way.
But Cuellar says Congress needs to be patient.
Do I have an idea what the Intelligence Committee is doing? Of course I do. But my job is to deliver for the district.
More witnesses in the impeachment inquiry are expected to testify on Capitol Hill this week. None of those hearings will be open to the public. In Washington, I'm Anna Warnicki.
All right, Anna, thank you so much. Always fun to spend 5 good minutes with Lubbock Congressman Jodi Arrington. Good to see you back here at home. You've been outspoken, I know, saying that the closed-door interviews that are going on right now with the impeachment situation is not the way it should be handled. Explain what you think should be done here as we move through this process.
Well, not only is it not the way an impeachment inquiry and process should be handled, it's never been handled that way. Didn't do that with Clinton, didn't do any of this secret inquisition where they have selective cherry-picked leaks, and it really makes a mockery out of our congressional institution. It's a major distraction to getting things done. And I think the process they have today, which is a political racket, not an impeachment process, could cause irreparable harm going forward. Now, how would you do it? Do it in the sunshine. Give the president a chance to, if not face his accusers with the whistleblower and others who've been interrogated, at least let him address some of the accusations and allegations that they've been levying against him, and let Republicans cross-examine in the sunshine, because Adam Schiff is just putting out what he wants to put out, and there's a whole lot of information that is left in the dark, and that's not good for democracy.
I'll play devil's advocate just for the sake of argument here. Okay. In the past, we've had a special prosecutor in these kind of situations, and it's the same sort of thing that was done there. There are depositions taken in private, and then all of that comes out later. If we bring this to the Judiciary Committee, all of this is going to come out anyway. What's the president worried about, or Republicans in general worried about? Because it's all going to come out eventually anyway, right?
Yes. It will, I hope, all come out, because I think it's a baseless allegation at this point. I see no quid pro quo. I'll be very direct about that. I've read the transcript like most of your viewers, I hope, have, and this is a president that was very uneasy about giving money to a country that has tremendous history of corruption, some very high-profile cases like the Biden case, where Vice President Biden's running around bragging about stopping an investigation, and he's also concerned about the European nations bearing some of that support, not just having us do it on. And that is not any different than what he's done with NATO, the UN, and other situations where we shouldn't be taking the lion's share. But this is just not open and fair. It's an impeachment, Brian. This is one of those provisions in the Constitution that should be administered with great care and concern and deliberation and responsibility, okay? We're talking about high crimes and misdemeanors.
Right.
We just came off of 2 years of a special counsel where there was this Russian collusion, $30 million, 2 years later, and there's nothing. Then it was obstruction, now it's quid pro quo. It reeks of pure politics. That's what I would tell you. And the only way to get over that is don't let Adam Schiff try to run this behind closed doors. Get it out. Put all the facts out there. Make this about truth and justice, not what I think is driving it, personally, fear and hatred. Hatred for this president by many on the Democrat side, and fear that he's going to win in 2020, you know? And there's a lot at stake with that in many ways, because these are very consequential times, especially with respect to the courts, as your viewers are aware.
Sure. All right, so how then, is this sucking all the air out of the room the way it seems like it's doing from just trying to get work done? I mean, we watch this from afar and going, how are they doing anything up there because all this is going on?
Yes, you know, the forces of partisanship and the lack of civility are always in play in the broken culture of the swamp. This is a level of partisanship I've never seen, and it's made all the committees, it's worked its way down the committee level. We were working with our Democratic colleagues on ways and means to fix the high cost of prescription drugs for our seniors.
I thought we were ready to go with that.
We were ready. We were all but in the end zone, and then Nancy Pelosi said, here's H.R. 3, government takeover, socialized medicine, the version of that for drugs, basically price fixing and importing socialist country policies on our nation that would kill innovation and would make it much more difficult to access life-saving drugs in the future. And that didn't have to be the case for the drug pricing, but it's across the board. And it's because the calculations for Ms. Pelosi are, do we want to give the president a win, not do we want to give the American people a win? That's not the case for every Democrat, I will tell you.
Okay.
I think the majority of the Democrats are very anxious to go back to their districts and say, look what we're doing, we're actually able to govern. They can't say that right now. They have zero to show for.
Well, the North American Trade Agreement would at least be something along that deal, and I thought that was about to be done, and then it gets pushed back, and then I thought, okay, now we're talking about it again, and now there's some more monkey wrenches being thrown in there about making sure that everything is... you tell me where that stands.
Yeah, well, look, 12 million jobs, 1 million jobs in Texas is what those relationships between Canada and Mexico are worth. The new and improved NAFTA, which is USMCA, is 170,000 jobs, 70 billion to our economy, billions to the ag economy in West Texas alone. We have the votes, Brian. We have the votes. It would be overwhelming, unanimous. It's a political calculation by Nancy Pelosi. Now, here's the one area that I think this impeachment thing may actually work in our favor. And I hate it for our country, but I think there's tremendous pressure on the Democrats to actually have something of note in terms of legislative reform or legislative initiative to show for their time in the majority. This one's teed up. They talk about enforcing labor provisions, environmental provisions, biopharma provisions. I can tell you that if we bring it to a vote today, it would pass. And I don't think that all of their concerns are illegitimate. I think but I think the reason it is not being teed up on the floor for a vote to be ratified is because Nancy Pelosi is trying to figure out, will the president get a win? Will I be able to use this to demonstrate to the American people I can walk and chew gum at the same time? I hate that, but that's where we are. But my prediction is it's actually going to happen because they desperately need to show something to the American people for their majority leadership other than endless investigation, harassing the president, and what I think is a political secret inquisition, not a real sunshine, open and fair impeachment process with respect to the president.
Well, keep swinging and keep us updated on what is and isn't going on, I guess, in D.C. Jodi Arrington.
Great to be with you.
Good to see you.